Hi, I'm Jess Boulton from the Daily Mirror, and this is Jess saying live. I am joined today by the lovely one and only, my very favourite from Strictly, Anton Du Beke.
Woo! Hello, my love.
Thank
How are
you
you? Well, let me
so
just
much
adjust
for
that
coming
picture a little
on.
bit. I'm a bit more central there. How's that? Good.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Love it. Thank you so much for coming on today, Anton. Especially after last weekend. Now, obviously, how did that feel? Very first off.
I hate it. It's a disaster. I hate getting voted off at any stage. I mean, first off, is the worst because now I feel like I'm sitting watching everybody else have the best fun in the world doing Strictly Come Dancing, and I'm on the outside having to look in and just clap along, going, "Oh, well done! I wish it was me. I wish it was me. Well done."
I hate you. Well done. What did Jackie say to you after the show? Because I was imagining what that would be like. Because she tried really hard. She tried her best. She's a non-dancer to begin with. But what did she say to you? She must have felt a bit bad.
No, she was disappointed to be voted off, of course, but she just said she had the best time in the world, and she enjoyed every second of it, and she said it's a very tough competition. I mean, I picked all the years to come and do the show, and there are only 12 of us, and not the full 15. Um, so that from that perspective, I think if we had 15 couples to start with, she might have been able to go a little bit. I think she would have developed and grown as the series went on. I think she was a definite. I think she had a definite journey to coin a phrase, and I think she was just getting started.
I think she was as well. I think it was a shame because she really did give it her all in the samba. And having watched her from, what did she say? She did some dancing like 50 years ago when she first began. So, I mean, she really is one of the beginners. Whereas some of the others have had a little bit of training before. And how do you feel about that when you think about some of them that have, come through the stage school route and some of them that have actually done a bit of dancing? From an outsider, how is that fair? Is what I'm thinking, sitting on the sofa.
Well, it was forever us, really. And I remember back to the very first series and Chris Parker making the final. And I remember Claire Sweeney doing the show, and she'd been in Chicago in the West End. And I remember, everybody sort of wished I had the West End girl to do this fabulous show. But Chris Parker made the final, I remember. And so the great leveler about the show is that there's the fifth judge, or in this year, the fourth judge, and that's the audience at home. And their vote is equally as important because when the two sides of everything are totaled up, you have one grand total, and from there, one grand leaderboard. From there, you get your bottom two who go off into the dance. But the audience at home are the great levelers. They're the ones who really make the decisions.
Who give the people a chance who might not be as experienced or as likely to do as well. Because
it rather levels the playing field. I mean, you have a situation where you've got Maisie, who's 19 or something, against Jackie, who's 57. So that in itself is an imbalance. But because of the extra judge, which are the audience, it balanced the whole thing. And I mean, I thought Jackie was incredible in this number. I thought she was the star of the night in this number. I just absolutely thought she was just beautiful. I mean,
she was
pivot, on you go, polka, gorgeous. I thought that was tremendous, worthy of much higher marks and praise, I thought.
Well, as you say that, now there's been a lot of rumours going about, and as you'll see, Peter Boulton here below is saying, is it true that you are going to be a judge? Now, there's been a lot of speculation that we want Anton to be the fourth judge as Bruno's away.
It's very kind of you. Well, I mean, they obviously not. I mean, there's been no chat to me about that, and I don't think their intention is to whip me onto the judging panel. Sadly, because I've got a bit of time on my hands. I'd love to sit in for the rest of the series. At least I'd make the final. So you know, I don't have to wait for the future. I mean, if we could start a petition, maybe for that and a knighthood, I'd like those two things, please.
Okay, we'll get on that. We'll get on the two things. Which one would you like more? Be a judge. Okay. We'll start on that one soon. But have you actually spoken to them about it? Have you, you know, because there is the potential that there could be a spare seat this year.
Well, there is. I mean, they can do what they like, really. But no, we haven't had the conversation. And I don't think that was ever in their thinking. I think the whole thing was always going to be the three judges and Bruno live from LA. I bet he's loving that. Every time they go, let's go to Bruno in LA. He's there lining his Speedos on a chaise lounge somewhere by a pool, giving it all that, I suspect.
Have you been missing him this series?
We are missing him, yeah. He brings a lightness and an energy to the room, which is lovely.
Yeah. So what happens now? What do? Do you go to the studio and you're in the audience because it is only the dancers and stuff that can be in the audience now? Or
yes, and now, of course, after this second sort of lockdown, there aren't any sort of friends and family in the audience at all. We had small pockets for the first couple of weeks of family and bubbling along in the room, or in particular in their own bubbles in the room, social distance, etc., etc. But now that's been kiboshed, so we're not doing that at all now. So it's just going to be the pros and the celebrities and the extra sort of either eliminated pros or the other pros like Neil and Nancy and Nadia and Graziano will all be there cheering everybody along, just to give it a bit of atmosphere. Because we've already done the group dances, of course, and normally we'd be performing the group dances on show day, but they've already been pre-recorded. We did those before we started, and they're incredible. And the wonderful thing about having done them in advance is that we could invest a bit more time into them as well, and also with the filming of them, because we didn't have to film them on the same day as because normally we film the group dances on the same day as the live show. So between the sometimes between the two I say two shows, between it's not two shows, between the dress rehearsal and the main show, the live show, we normally film the group dances then, but you know, we don't get many runs at them because time is cracking on. So
of course, it must be so hard.
Live television waits for no man. But the great thing about having done them in advance is that we can spend a little time, and they filmed them more times so they can get better shots of them. You know,
and you can them, and you can do more with them. And we got another question here. Are you going to be doing your dancing online again now? Now we're in the second lockdown. We followed
Sue,
you
my love. Yes, I can see the questions coming up from lovely Sue.
Exactly.
When we were in the first lockdown, I started online a channel called Anton Du Beke.tv, a YouTube channel. And we started doing some online classes and also a fitness class. So in the morning, we do 11s with Anton, that's me. We do a bit of dancing. And then about 3 o'clock, started off about 3 o'clock, moved to 6. We did a fitness class, a Fit at 50. Now, Amber, what a love. See, these are my gang coming in. Because what I loved more than anything else about doing the online stuff is that we had a community. Really, we got together doing it, and everybody was so supportive of everybody else. And I did it as we're doing this live, and people would write in just as Amber is there and Sue did before, and I'd read out questions, which was my favourite bit. Nobody wants to sweat if they can help it, but so I enjoyed reading out the questions whilst we were doing press ups and things, and everybody was a feather step, and everybody was just so wonderful and so fabulous and supportive to everybody. We just had the best time, and unfortunately Strictly Dancing started, I wasn't able to do it any longer, but I think now I have a bit of time on my hands. I think we could start the whole thing again. Why not? Let's start it again.
Oh, fabulous. I actually did your cha-cha-cha. I did the cha-cha-cha classes. Bear with me 1 second because I'm blinding everybody on who's watching this video.
Light coming through there.
The sun suddenly came out and blinded everyone. Yes, I did your cha-cha-cha
lessons. I'm a sip tea. Don't be alarmed.
Which were fantastic. I mean, Amber, so you're definitely going to do the Fit at 50 and the dancing again? Or are you going to take on both?
I will. I'm just going to get a nod from the BBC and Strictly Come Dancing to say it's okay for me to
Oh,
do it because we're contracted for the length of the show, and we are slightly restricted in what we are and not able to do, obviously. So I just, now that I'm out, I'll ask them if I can start them up again, and hopefully they'll let me. If not, I'll start them in January. And we'll crack on and get on doing it again, because I thoroughly enjoyed it and I loved it, and it's something I want to pursue. Certainly, I mean, I'm enjoying doing the dance classes, but certainly the 50 thing I'd like to pursue as well, certainly into next year, and
yeah,
get
I
people
think that was a really
sort of motivated and stuff.
Extra thing for you to be doing going into that fitness side, because it's quite, watching you do it, and it's something that a lot of people enjoyed seeing your routines. It's not I know Gorka's doing some as well. Yeah, he's just started them, so you can have a little bit of competitiveness about who gets the most.
Well, I mean, he's a little pocket rocket, old Gorka. He's perfect in every way, shape, and form. Look at him, all firm to the touch. But when we were doing it together, the 50 classes, we were really just, we were all it was all about supporting each other, and everybody setting their own goals, and we did it slightly gently. I say gently. I mean, I look back at some of the things now. We really did sort of rev it up, but the sort of mantra was, it's fit at 50, but don't kill yourself, and do what you can do, and make a note of what you're able to achieve, and then you set your own goals. Then we sort of move on from there, and you're only sort of not competing, but you're only judging yourself against yourself, as opposed to me or anybody else. But it's lovely because everybody's getting results, and it's nothing else. It just that feeling of having somebody to talk to, really, and having a community of people that were all sort of together. It was lovely. I enjoyed it more than anything else. Julie's got a question here. Could I answer this question? Julie's on the screen.
Julie saying, is there a little sadness with the dancers this year that we won't see you in the Blackpool Tower Ballroom? Because obviously you're having to miss Blackpool because of the short.
Yeah, there is. Well, we're missing it because of all the restrictions that are going on, travelling, etc. Because when we go to Blackpool, it's quite a thing. The production are up there first part of the week before the show, so they go up there. They finish the show on a Saturday night, and I think the Monday morning they're all shipping up to Blackpool, and all the rigging and all the sound guys, because the ballroom isn't built for television essentially, and it's an old building and it's up. It's not at ground level, so it takes a bit of logistics, but they do an incredible job with it, and we are all very disappointed because, they say everything in Blackpool is bigger and better.
Yeah, and it's the dancing. It's the home of ballroom dancing, isn't it? It's
the traditional home, the emotional home of it all, I suppose.
Yeah, before obviously LSJ. So, now obviously you've also been doing so many other side projects. I'm hoping for this fitness DVD next year. I think that's got to be a project in your
Do people still have DVDs?
Probably not. That's showing my age.
Let's go. You have to subscribe to the channel. How about that?
Subscribe to the channel, indeed. Like Davina, she's got that one. So move over, Davina. Anton's in there. But you've also been doing the presenting, and you've done your album, and now obviously you're a best-selling novelist as well, and you've got your third novel out now. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
I have. Thank you. I can tell you. I can talk about it for a long time. A Christmas to Remember. It's a continuation of the story, but it is standalone. So if you haven't had a chance to read the first two novels, it's okay, because you'll become familiar enough with the characters as you would normally do, as though you were reading the first one. But it is. I mean, we start the story this year with an invitation to the wedding, the announcement, the engagement of Raymond and Nancy, and then at Christmas we have the wedding. So it's the big Christmas wedding. Now, all the shenanigans of previous novels continue to go on, all the upstairs and downstairs. Some new characters. Can't tell you too much about what happens to one or two of them without giving it away. But it just continues with all the upstairs and downstairs intrigue, glamour, and romance as well. So it's lovely. and I've loved doing it. I love because I did it during the lockdown first time. I was able to sort of normally I'm doing it, and it's the period of time which I do it sort of spread out. This time I just sort of condensed it, so I just sort of, I say rattled through it, isn't the right expression really, but I just sort of carried it going, and I love the way it's come out. I think it's absolutely, I would say that of course, but I think it's absolutely fabulous. I love the story.
For anyone that hasn't read the first two books, your first was right up the top of the bestsellers list, and it tells the story behind it's an old grand hotel, isn't it? Back in
the Buckingham Hotel.
The Buckingham Hotel, back in the sort of pre-war days, and it's the glamour and the glitz and the ballroom dancers. So it's just sizzling with like, and
well, as you say, the first novel was a bestseller, which I'm delighted about. But the second novel was nominated for a romantic, they call it the Historical Romantic Novel of the Year award. This novel set, or this story set in 1938, and the previous one was 37 and started in 36. It just sort of continues on like that. And so it's a historical sort of romantic. I didn't realize it was going to be quite sort of that romantic, but it is, because I think the glamour and the glitz and the time as well is romantic. So that all adds, but also the intrigue and what was going on just before the beginning of the Second World War in Europe and around London at that time was fascinating. And all the sort of royalty coming and floating in and out of the hotel, and the all the wonderful aristocracy whizzing through, and so it's really exciting.
Now, we've got a question here from Roy Smith, because there's been a bit of speculation about whether you will sell the TV rights to it. Now, I know today you were saying you would be very keen to, because you've got it reads like it could be a film easily.
Absolutely.
But Roy's saying here, if it was made into a film, would you play Raymond, and would Erin play the leading lady?
Well, that would be ideal, really, wouldn't it? I would be Raymond Keyes, all swarthy and handsome and dashing. I think I'll cast myself in that role, if it's all right with you. Thank you very much. I think it lends itself to being made into a TV sitcom.
No,
Let me just say hello to Roy and Barbara, who I love, by the way. Big kiss to you both. Hope you're very well. I think it lends itself to dramatizing. Either I'd like it to be a series in the sort of, a sort of a mini series maybe, or a continuing series, rather than just a television or a movie as such. Because I think it, as they say, has legs, and it can run and run and run. Who would play? In my mind's eye, the way I write it is that I sort of narrate the story, and I see the story the same way as I do sort of choreography, really. And so I see who everybody's being played by, and how they look, and how they walk, and how they dress. And I just, so I mean, I can't exactly cast myself. Erin would be a tremendous Helen Marchment. I don't know if she would do in the acting department, but she has all the other skills and attributes. I think Henry Cavill would be a dashing Raymond Keyes. He's very, very handsome. I think he needs to be a bit taller though, because Raymond is quite a dashing, tall chap in the sort of build of a Len Goodman, but obviously with sort of Len Goodman build and Henry Cavill's looks and charm,
Superman look,
suaveness. Just gorgeous. And so yeah, and what's his name? Derek Jacobi, I always see as Maynard Charles, and so I've got all these characters in my head already. I know as soon as we get to cast it, I'll be there.
Then you'll be there. Have you put out any feelers yet, or had any talks with anybody?
Yeah, we've had conversations. There are conversations going on with various people, but the process, as it is, isn't one that gets done overnight. It takes a bit of time, and so as I say, people are talking about it. It looks very positive. So hopefully, moving forward next year. I mean, it's been difficult this year with everything going on with COVID stuff. So everything's been put on the back burner a little bit there. So now, hopefully next year we'll be able to be an exciting new project.
Exciting new project and another big arm to the Anton empire that you've built. No, obviously, somebody else, has tried their hand at novel writing, which is Craig. Now, have you read his novel?
Has he written a novel, has he?
He has written a novel.
Oh,
yes.
I think he must be on his 8th autobiography by now. I didn't know he'd written a novel as well.
He has done quite a few. I think he's done 3 autobiographies. Don't quote me on it. He's done a few, but yes, he's on his first novel. So I was going to ask you, have you read it, and will you be giving him your critique of his novel?
I haven't read it. No, I haven't read it, I'm afraid. But I will read it for sure, and I will definitely give him my critique. And whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, my critique is going to to be harsh. Let me.
I feel
harsh, unkind, and low of mark is what he's going to get from me.
I think that's fair enough. I think you've had to suffer throughout the time. A lot of people are saying on Strictly, a lot of people are saying you've had a bit of bad luck with some of the partners that you've been given. I mean, last year you had Emma. She was brilliant in the final, and you got to the final in the first year, but. You have had to, we all know Anne Widdecombe. You have had to take a few
legendary.
People legendary, but maybe not so talented on the dance floor in the footwork. And obviously you sort of famously had Ruth Langsford, who lovely, but she wasn't the strongest dancer, and Nancy Delollier, again lovely, but needed a little more help than some of the others. So how Judy Murray, what happens, Anton? Why do you keep ending up with the hardest person to work with?
Well, that's not a question for me. That's a question for the producers. What
have you done to them?
I don't mind. I have to be honest with you. I don't mind who I dance with, because I've danced with all of those incredible ladies, of which I've had the best time with. I mean, Anne, we finished like 5th. She made the quarterfinals. Ruthie was, I think, 1 week away from Blackpool. She did really well as well. Nancy, we went a few weeks as well with Nancy. I think she almost made Blackpool, although I think it was Wembley in those days. So we were a week away from there as well. So, but these ladies are fascinating ladies and really fabulous to be with. And I'm delighted to have spent all of that time with them, and now able to call them friends, because they're just brilliant. And I love them. I know Jude. I mean, she made it to Blackpool.
She did make
Blackpool. She got voted off at Blackpool, which I thought was her best number. That's the varsity drag, the Charleston that we did. I think she's tremendous. I'm so lucky, really, in that respect of dancing. And then last year, Emma, we made the final, and she was remarkable. And a few years ago, I danced with Katie Derham. We made the final as well, and she was elegant. I remember her legs, remarkable. She was tremendous. So.
Patsy Palmer was fantastic.
Patsy Series 3. I mean, that was made the semi-final with Patsy, if I remember rightly. So close. So I've been, there or thereabouts.
You have been there or thereabouts. You've had your share of Anne Widdecombe's as well, but bless her, Anne did entertain us. And I heard that Anne actually messaged Jackie to congratulate her on how well she'd done. So uniting the parties there. You're doing your bit for the country.
She said to me, she texted me actually, Anne, and when I got partnered with Jackie, and said, "I see you've crossed the floor," and which I thought was hilarious. And then she after the first week, or second week, she said, "I voted for you," which was lovely. You see, that's what you're after, isn't it? She's tremendous.
That is lovely. That is lovely. We got a question here from Julie Munn, which I was going to ask you about in a minute. But Anton,
Julie.
How do you keep your gorgeous twins occupied during lockdown? We got a couple of pictures where they worked out with you, didn't they? A little bit by accident.
Yeah, they crept in. Yeah, they crept in. That was brilliant. They're
Henrietta.
Again, Daddy, again. What do you mean again? I said. What do you mean again? Just brilliant. I mean, we were off school during the first lockdown. They shut everything down. They're at nursery now, So
Mm.
they're going to be at nursery most of every day, and then come home. I mean, they'll be they're home. I think the clock actually. They're home now. On a Friday they finish about 1 o'clock, but normally finish about 3 o'clock. So when I go and pick them up, or Hannah and I go and pick them up, we just have a lovely afternoon, just messing about, running around and having fun, and they're too gorgeous for words. Look at them. I mean,
They're
more
so
beautiful than anything you've ever met in your life, and I love it.
And they're now 3, aren't they? So
3.5. There'll be 4 in March.
4 in March.
So they're at nursery at school, if you know what I mean. So they're going to continue on at the school that they're in from nursery to, I think it's reception, then they go into what we used to call first year.
You had to take them there and like see them off at the door. Was that hard?
They were amazing, though. We were so lucky because you take them along, and then they go bye, and then they're away. We were lucky. I mean, I think it's because they're together. So it's difficult, I think, for some children on their own, that they don't want to leave. But because they're together, they just go and off. They're away. So we've been very fortunate in that regard.
Do they sort of understand that when they see you on the telly? Are they like, "Oh, there's Daddy on Strictly"? Can they grasp that you're a sort of famous dancer? Mm.
They do. They're watching. When they first realised I was on television, they didn't like that very much. And you might say a lot of people don't. I would disagree. They couldn't quite grasp it, and I'd be in the room and on the television. They didn't get that. They used to upset them. But then they sort of got it, and now they love it. So whatever I'm doing, I'm either dancing or talking. Those are the two things I do on television. So are you dancing today, Daddy? Yes, I am. Oh, good. I said, no, I'm not dancing today. Are you talking today, Daddy? Yes. I'm only talking today. So it's just the most, I tell you, it's the most gorgeous thing in the whole world. I love it.
They are so adorable. And have either of them shown any talent yet for dancing?
They love it. They love a bit of dancing. Love a bit of dancing, love music. They're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. And they dance at nursery, of course, do classes there. They do a class every week.
Do they? Are you going to get them into ballroom? Are you going to get them doing the training and everything? Start them young?
Well, I shall start them with the dancing. I think it's good for you. Obviously, I would say that for many reasons. One, socially, for posture and understanding of your body and inhibition and all those things, expressing yourself through movement. I think those things are very, very important. So I will get them into. They will sort of do dancing as part of their sort of sporting things that they do. My attitude is do everything, and then later on you can decide what you fancy. Try everything. I won't just get them into ball dancing and do it all. They do the whole lot.
Do the whole thing. Because you used to want to be a footballer and a cricketer, didn't you? And then got into dance. What were you, about 10, 11 when you got into dancing?
13, 14. Yeah, about 13 or 14 or so dancing. Sorry, a question has just come up.
I'll two shakes. We'll just let you answer that one.
When I was young, we were always out playing sport. Sport was everything to us. We were always kicking balls and playing cricket and playing tennis and one thing or another, riding our bikes. So for me, it was natural to just want to be a sportsman of some sort, either footballer or a cricketer or something like that. And then I sort of stumbled into dancing, and because ballroom dancing, I stumbled straight into ballroom dancing. Because ballroom dancing is competitive, that sort of felt a bit sporty. And I love the dancing. I love the form of it. I love the fact that you had to do it in a certain way. I hate still today when a choreographer goes, "Here's 8 bars, do some freestyle."
Oh no!
Right there.
Yeah, I don't like freestyle.
Freestyle is not for me. Freestyle is for drunk people at weddings. I am not freestyling. I need something choreographed. So so as soon as I realised that you didn't just because people say dance, what does that even mean? Dance. So I like a bit of form. And when I was told, right, you start here and you go over there, and these are the steps you've got to learn, to me it felt like normal. It's like sport, really.
Yeah, is that? And I know you were saying, you said recently that your mum, bless her, worked 3 jobs in order to get you your lessons, and because you didn't get on with your dad as much, but your mum basically did all that for you and got you into dancing.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course. And I was 13 and 14, it was pretty early to get a job. But even when I continued through and left school and I worked and danced. So, but yeah, in the early days, my mum was the biggest sort of supporter. Well, I say early days, through everything, through it all, really, through my whole career.
So is she encouraging of the twins as well now to get them moving?
Yeah. Marvel. I mean, she's in Spain now. She's got my mum's Spanish, so she spends half the time there and half the time here. Not one for the cold, my mum. So she's over in Spain now. So we're FaceTiming all the time. It's lovely. And the great thing about FaceTime, it keeps you in contact, and that's the most important thing. Through all the lockdown stuff, one of the reasons, just going back to what we were talking about earlier with the lockdown in the classes, and I said it at the time. Although we're in isolation, you never want to become or feel isolated. And that was the big thing for doing the classes the way we're doing with them, with the live streaming and everything. That was very important. So FaceTime is very important to us, especially with mum being in Spain. And if I'm on the road or doing shows on tour, doing my show. So FaceTime is the big thing for us. So being in contact is important.
Now, Vicky Leyland there is, apologies, Vicky, because I forgot your question was there. Anton, what would your specialist subject be on Mastermind? Oh, I love that question.
Well, that's I've been asked to do Mastermind once or twice, and I keep declining because, these things seem like a good idea at the time. Until you're sat in that black chair and you're going, wow, I hope the first question is, what's your name? It's the second question is, where do you live? I don't know. My specialist subject would probably be Fred Astaire, probably be dance related. If not, probably be something golfy related, because that's my other sort of passion. Or just talking about children. But you have to narrow the subject down rather on Mastermind. Otherwise, the world is you could ask you anything. It has to be very niche. So I would make it really, really niche, and I would probably ask you about something specific rather than a sort of like entertainment. What's your subject? What's your entertainment? Oh, good luck with that.
Good luck.
So yeah.
So that's what you do. Now, who are you now thinking of to win for this year's Strictly? Who's your favourite? Me.
Oh, my favourite to win? Yeah, I'm thinking of you immediately. My immediate thought is you. Who am I thinking about winning? Well, I don't have a favourite. I know it's a bit of a cop out, because the final, of course, is always judged by the audience and the viewers, and they're the ones who choose the winner. So it's not necessarily always sort of the person that's done the best with the judges through the series. So. I mean, a couple of years ago, I remember Ashley and Faye were both remarkable every week, and somebody else won. I can't remember, was that Stacey's year or somebody else's year? I can't remember.
Stacey, I
think Stacey might have won it that year. So there's the only sort of guarantee of being good now or through the series. And again, I say now, I mean, every week's a new dance. They're not taking anything from one week to the next. It's a new dance. It's a bit like Bake Off. You have a bad week and you've gone. And it's not the first time that somebody good, supposedly, gets voted off early or earlier than one thinks because they might have had a bad week or something. It doesn't take much.
Exactly, it doesn't take much.
So there's no guarantee. The great thing is they're going to, and that's the joy of what we were talking about earlier with the viewers, the audience being the fourth this year, the fourth judge. I think it's vitally important that happens. Otherwise, sort of no show, is there? The result every week. There's no show, is there?
Well, exactly. You're right. But has Hannah, your wife, has she been helping you when you were doing your novels? Because she did English literature, didn't she? She's very into that side.
She's very clever. And I struck a bit of gold there. Don't worry about that. She's very bright. And yes, I mean, I run ideas, and I say, I've come up with this idea. This fella here does this, and he comes across, and he does. Oh, and she goes, I love that. That sounds good. And certainly when I had the idea of opening this novel with the announcement of the engagement of. She loved the idea of that as well. The thing is, when I'm writing a novel, it has to be. I want it to feel almost like you're stepping in. I say this a lot, really, and I'm sorry for repeating myself if people have heard this before, but I want people to step into the novel. So, you walk up the stairs to the Buckingham Hotel, and somebody opens the doors and says, "Welcome to the Buckingham Hotel," and in you go. And that's how I feel when you open the first page of the novel and the cover, and there's the invitation right in front of you, the announcement rather of the engagement of Raymond and Nancy, and then you sort of step into the whole novel. And that's how I feel with the novel, because that's how I feel when I write it.
Yeah, you're so passionate about this, and you're the only pro who's done every series of Strictly. Where do you see yourself staying on Strictly? Are you staying on Strictly till you get that little ball?
And beyond. I'm going to say, once I've got it, there'll be no getting rid of me. Then I'll be there. I'm going to win it again. Do
you see yourself like moving on from there, or are you in there for the long haul?
No, I'm in there for the long haul. You could say I've already been in for the long haul, but there are two things. One, I love it. I'm fun. I'm essentially a dancer. I like to dance and I like to perform for an audience. I don't feel that some people get the calling to maybe choreograph, like Craig, for example, was a choreographer and director. There are other people that have once been a dancer and then feel that they don't want to do that anymore. They want to go in another direction. I don't feel that. I haven't got that feeling, really. I do it, but my first love is still performing and still being out on stage and dancing and that side of things. So that's the first thing. Is I love it. And I love doing the show. The show for me is just the greatest thing in the world. I just love it. I think it's the best show on telly, obviously. And I still feel the same now as I did in series 1 about being voted off.
Oh, we lost you for a second, but we can hear you now.
Sorry. Just to say that I feel the same now as I did in series 1 about being voted off. I hate it. I can't. I never once through all the years have gone, thank God that's over for a year. It's just the worst feeling of when the red light goes on and they go, thank you very much, you won't be coming back next week. Mortified. I mean, the E goes round the ankles, dear. I can't tell you.
But it's not you, it's your partner.
But you're in it together, aren't you? You're in it together.
Well, you're in it together, but you could do better if you got rid of them. That's all I'm saying. What we also like to do on here is count down the top 5 sort of showbiz stories we've loved this week.
Go ahead.
So we're going to have a little bit of that, and I'll chat to you about them quickly. So at number 5, we have Ant and Dec finally having to do a Bush Tucker trial. They're on their 20th series now, and they've never had to try this themselves, but they finally got them to do it for the special that's on Sunday. Now, one of your former co-workers, AJ, is tipped to be in the jungle. How do you think he's going to do?
I think you'll do all right. Oh, look at that. That must have been revolting. I mean, not before time, really, that those two boys, they've been putting other people up to all those horrendousnesses over the years. I mean, it's about time they had to go themselves. I think AJ will do great. I think he'll do really well. I think he'll be super at it. And I think he'll enjoy it as well. I mean, he's got away lightly this year, being in Wales. I mean, you want to be in Australia with all the creepy crawlers. I mean, I couldn't do it with the creepy crawlers. I could probably have done it in Wales, but I couldn't do the creepy crawlers in Australia. Oh no, you don't want a spider as big as your head. No one wants that in their life. Let me tell you.
Well, it's not worth the money.
I can't. No, it's not worth the money. I can't bear spiders of any size, especially and the big ones. You got to be kidding me.
Ooh.
And could you eat this so your pals can eat? No, thanks.
No.
They can go without. That.
They can enjoy
a fermented left testicle. Can you have one of them? No. Let them starve.
I love it.
I'd be a nightmare. I'd be an absolute nightmare. I wouldn't mind doing this sort of trials, but if the physical stuff, I wouldn't mind the physical stuff. But could you pop that in your mouth? And no, actually, no. Let them starve. I'm not interested.
No. Good luck to AJ then, because they're still making them eat that horrible stuff, even though they're in Wales.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, that's still going to be doing that. Yeah. They're gonna have a lot of critter challenges that aren't actually native to Wales, because I guess otherwise half the show's
is that what they're gonna do?
But number 4 we have, it's more of a picture, this one, but Bruno out in LA looking very suave. Look at that shirt. What is he doing, Anton? That shirt is unbuttoned down to the navel.
Or as Bruno like to call it, normal, I think you'll find. But who's he with there? Is that J-Lo he's with?
It's not J-Lo. It's one of the presenters from The Talk. But she looks a dead ringer of J-Lo, doesn't she?
Well, from there, it's a very small picture. Actually, in my defence, I can't really. And the bins aren't as good as they were.
He's looking very tanned from being out there, isn't he? And I do like his.
Great, actually. I think he's looking great. I mean, he's loving it out there, isn't he? Let's be honest. I mean, they said to him, you've got a choice. You have to do LA or London. You have to do LA or Boreham Wood.
Were you surprised at his choice?
I mean, I was stunned that he didn't choose Boreham Wood in the rain. I mean, that's clever right there.
You should get him on the phone and go, I'm free for the rest of the series if anyone falls out of Dancing with the Stars, any injuries.
So apparently, Bruno, you've been called back. So you have to come back, and I'm going to go to... Yeah, I know, it's terrible, but that's just the way things happen. Yes, no, I understand. What do you mean your Speedos aren't? But just put some trousers on, you're going to need it. Come on. He's mortified.
I love it. At number 3, we have probably a little bit calmer, some people might say, Jeremy Clarkson. Now he's a farmer, he's reinvented himself.
Is he?
Yeah. He's reinvented himself as a bit of a farmer, and he got a very nasty thing this week on the, let's say, gluteus maximus, to put a nicer word on it, or the
rear.
Yes.
You got one on the derriere.
So a lot of people might think it's a bit of karma, because he has caused a few ripples over at the BBC, hasn't he? No comment. Moving swiftly on.
I mean, he does say one or two things you find it difficult to disagree with, but he's quite a lad. I'm amazed he's farming.
Yeah, I know.
Say about that.
I know, it's quite a change. Have you got any secret sort of passion careers you'd like to go off and do? He's gone off and started to farm. Would you get into any of that?
No, farming. No. I'm not much of a. If I go in the country, I normally take a set of golf clubs with me and have a wander around with those. Farming's not really.
I normally find a pub, I think, is probably the best in the country. Moving on to number 2.
You and my wife would get on famously. The country pub, she'd love that.
I think we would. She sounds brilliant. Yeah? Now, number 2, obviously, the US election, and someone who does not know how to take a public vote as graciously as you do, Anton. Donald Trump, obviously, having a little bit of trouble.
Yes.
Would you give advice on how to, be gracious?
What, Donald Trump? I mean, I think I've left it a bit late for that, don't you? I mean, I never thought for a second that the two chaps there, the two gentlemen there, would have a sort of gentleman's handshake and say "well played," and then off to the clubhouse for a sherry after the result comes in. But maybe they might. Who knows?
What I really liked on this is that obviously we all heard about Kanye West was running for president. Very Strictly. Now, his kind of campaign kind of fizzled out as quickly as it began, but Kanye was not to be defeated. He went and voted for himself on the day, and he said he's voting for the one person he trusts. There's Kanye voting me, he said. So yes. However, 60,000 other people also voted for Kanye West, who thought he really could be a president, which is quite shocking in itself. However, little bit of a grey area on whether a certain lady did, Kim. It turns out that she may well have voted for Biden, as she's been liking his tweets. And there's a lot of speculation that is the way she went. So would you fancy politics?
Well, they say never mix politics and something else. I don't know. Relationships, probably.
What would you do if Hannah voted for one of the other couples on Strictly?
Now you're getting into serious business, you see, about Strictly Come Dancing votes. They're very, very important. I mean, politics is one thing, but when you start talking about voting on Strictly Come Dancing, that's serious business.
Yeah.
I'd be mortified. She would never do such a thing.
I'm sure she wouldn't. And she'd be in trouble if she did. And number one.
Can you imagine?
Number one in the stories I like this week is that Strictly Come Dancing, that in the final there's going to be 5 couples this year instead of just 3. What do you think of that?
4. Normally 4.
Oh, normally 4. Yeah.
Yeah. We used to have 3. In actual fact, the very first series, 2. Then they went up to 3. And then I think somebody got injured and then had to pull out, and then we ended up with a 2-couple final again. And of course, they ended up doing about 8 dances each to fill the time. And then we ended up with 4. I think it was a sort of contingency that if somebody got injured then and had to pull out the show, then we still had 3 couples in the final. But this year, 5. I think that's a twofold thing there, really. I think it's exciting. It gives everybody more of a chance to get into the final, of course.
Yeah.
But I think there's also an element of contingency about it, because if somebody did end up with the COVID or something and had to pull out of the series, at least we'd still have a final. If 2 couples got voted off, we'd still have a 3-couple final. If you've only got 3 or 4 in a final, and then you have a couple of problems with COVID and people having to withdraw, you might end up without a final, and that would be massively disappointing. So I think the 5 couples is twofold. One, it adds, because we've got 12 couples only a few weeks, 9 weeks or something. One, it adds to a great final, big final. But 2, also there's an element of sort of contingency about it, I think.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on our Facebook Live today, Anton. I've loved chatting with you, and
I've had a great time.
You are one of my favourite pros on there. So one day, I'd love to come and do a cha-cha.
When we're allowed to be in the same room and vicinity of each other, let's do a cha-cha-cha. Be my pleasure.
That would be good. The last time I did ballroom was probably about 20 years ago, but I can still do a little bit. So
well, I look forward to it. I definitely listen. Once we get all cleared up, and let me know, and we'll do something.
Brilliant. I'm going to take you up on that. That's perfect. Thank you so much again. And yes, your book is out now. Winter to Remember. A Christmas to Remember. I'm sorry.
Christmas to Remember. Yeah.
Christmas to Remember. I was in the wintry mood. Apologies, Anton. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.